Well, it appears Goblins do it again, and this anti-meta force appears to be taking this meta by storm. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Welcome back to your next play breakdown for this week, and this one is actually kind of interesting because this is all post-YCS Japan at this point. You know, we've had time for the 1-out-of-1 format to come through, see those changes in numbers, and what players are typically expecting out here to be the better decks, and I find that knowledge to be very interesting here. So your biggest representative, hey, look, it's Risal. Who would have guessed that? It appears to be the literal best deck in the room, and that hasn't really changed all that much. But what has changed is what's around this right now. We actually have 3 Momento duelists, and I partially want to say that I think a little bit of YCSJ has to do with this. Momento had a pretty interesting showing out of that event. There's just something about the deck, like, there's no shifter anywhere. So, you know, the deck can just kind of combo off and do whatever it needs to, and I think that's a pretty interesting sign of what this deck is capable of doing. We also have the unbridled power of Blue Eyes White Dragon, aka the structure deck, doing its thing. Actually, Blue Eyes made top 4 out of this event, which is very, very shocking. We also only have 2 Goblins in this event, and they also had the biggest showing out of anything here. We also had 2 Tenpai Dragons. Do remember, Tenpai is very much a former shell of itself here. Alright, we've had builds that have been resorted to playing Mass Dragon out here, but you know, Genroku's, Fadra's, substituting these things. But the problem is Chandra is a one-of. So you have to find a way to get access to your big tuner monsters, and you can typically get the game going. I see we also have a White Forest deck here, which is not too crazy. Voiceless Voice. Now, I'm actually kind of surprised by Voiceless Voice as well. This deck also had a pretty big, interesting YCS Japan appearance. Actually, Voiceless Voice had a better appearance there than Mermail did. Now, I also think a little bit of Mermail's, you know, equivalent between our meta and theirs is they don't have to, obviously they have Maxi, but we don't have Maxi. So the deck, we can kind of navigate around it a little bit for what we can do. I see we also have a Fallen of Albaz deck. We also have a Sword Soul version here. I really wish I could have got the chance to see what this build actually was bringing to the table, but it wasn't posted. We also have the power of good old Evil Twins, and we also have Hero as well. I mean, this overall participation looks good. Now, the Death Clock, as we like to call it, the shift on in to the good old top cut. Almost half of your top cut was Risal. Now, what's very funny about this is, out of all of these Risal decks, only 1 managed to make its way into top 4. So 2 of those actually got eliminated by some of your rogue challengers here, which is not all that surprising to say the least, but I'm happy to see that. Once again, we have Memento's Rise to Fame up here, with 2 of those converting. We only lost 1 Memento along the way, which is actually not too terrible. We also have Goblin Bikers, which Goblin Bikers ended up winning this event. That was actually the thing that caught my full attention here, was Goblins are back at it again. And they smashed down the front door and did a fantastic job. Our Blue Eyes Duelist actually making top 4 as well. So, fantastic conversion rate. And unfortunately, our Sword Soul Duelist did not make it through. Like I said, I wanted the chance to look at the Sword Soul deck. I wanted to see those 10E ratios, and I wanted to see how this deck is trying to play the new cards, but unfortunately, we don't have that. Overall, looking at this, you know who your strongest deck is in the room. The ARF Snake Eyes has taken a pretty major backseat out here. You know, Blue Eyes and Memento are kind of those up-and-coming decks, and then Goblin Bikers are just kind of riding into victory out here, because all they gotta do is start detaching stuff from the opponent's monsters, and suddenly, you know, this deck is looking a little bit better. So I find that very interesting. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. Starting things off here, we have the power of Goblin Bikers, and you're going to notice no Materia Reactors in here, which, you know, I've definitely enjoyed seeing what Materia Reactor stuff can do. And you've also, because you get to play the Materia Reactor stuff, you would see that some of these builds are playing like a vanilla monster. No need to do that, actually. What this build is instead choosing to do is we're playing a copy of Dr. Frankenderp. Yes, that's right. This is a cute little E-Telly target that you're able to bring on out and get access to some little free extra value for this deck that maybe you didn't understand that you really needed. You're also playing the full Armored Exceeds package in here. So typically, this is going to be a composition of multiple engines. One, you're going to be using the Desiree and Lacrima stuff to put the Desiree is going to be on the field. It's going to be your big negation protection. And then, of course, you're going to use the Goblin stuff to kind of control your opponent. And then on the back burner, you're going to have the extra sub-engines trying to help you out and maintain. It's a pretty straightforward thing, but I like all of these packages and how they're kind of coming together. I mean, the full Armored Exceeds package should be enough to kind of do what you needed to do. And of course, Scythelock, Lancia, Sanctum, all those other really good options, the generic cards, as we're going to call them, coming in clutch down here to give this deck its overall victory lap that it wants to see. So congratulations to Goblins. I'm very happy to see that Goblins are actually getting a standout here and getting a chance to actually shine. Okay, what else we got back here? Ooh. Ooh, this deck. Whoa, man. Gotta tell you, all the innovations that we have seen for Risal, this deck is the biggest play as many searchers as you can to get to your starters. Like 7th Ascension to get to 7 Tachyon, and then Bonfire to get to, and then you have Thrust. Like, you're playing 9 searchers for 3 monsters in your deck. Like, do I have to be the one to tell you that's a little bit much? I also see that more of these builds have gone to actually playing the multiple meteorologic aggregators. I think we've gotten to the point right now that having the multiple meteorologics is just the better call. You have so much room in your extra deck. You know, yeah, we've cut the Castel, yeah, we've cut a lot of the BS, but once you get rid of that fat and you kind of look at this and go, hey, you know, we need to have some of these more strong generic cards. Also, you know, access to the new rank 4 patches pretty much all of our issues that we've had. Also, you know, this build just gutted out the Mulch Armies. You don't even need them anymore. All right, like, unfortunately, you just don't get as much value as you would hope that you'd be getting with the Mulch Armies. So that's a very big meta challenger there. Considering how much those cards looked and how important they felt, it is such a change of pace. But that's what you're looking at now. Moving on back here to good old Momento. Now, I gotta tell you, I'm really happy to see that we're back on playing the Cage, the Goblins support prison. There are a few builds out there that were trying to get a little bit spicy, and they were trying to cut the Goblin package back down to its original thing. I think having that ability to dodge anything that your opponent's trying to do to stop you is very important. Now, looking at this list, I mean, you're already playing 42 cards. To be fair, a lot of these Memento lists have to kind of get, you got to pack in a little bit more options. Also, you can tell Droplet has moved back into the format because with Shifter's grand disappearance from the meta because of Malice, I think that's going to be a very solid stopper for you to kind of control your opponent. Extra deck, the Artemis is very cute. I haven't seen anybody really trying to do that, but I mean, being able to turn an Anguish on into, you know, a full SP to kind of control your opponent definitely feels a little bit more worthwhile if you need be. And of course, Lancias, you do have the Perulias down there. I've kind of noticed Peruli has been a lot easier to combo with and a lot more troublesome for your opponent to try to handle. I also see we have attack talents and a thrust. Overall, I think everything with this list looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, like, a lot of Mementos already felt like it's been figured out. You know, you get the very slight tech ratios, but that's about it. And then we have the unstoppable power of Blue Eyes White Dragon. You know the cool thing about this list? Still don't need a Magia. Now, every build in the OCG is kind of relying on Baron to floor. I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I think you can get away without playing the Baron. Like, it's just one of those things that you look at and you're like, oh boy, just a little bit extra volume. So we are doing the Blue Eyes Fusion in here to do the standard little play for the Tyrant Dragon, which is fine. We are playing the SP2 of the Link 1. That's actually kind of refreshing to actually see. I like that. And then, of course, the Thrust, the Dark Rollers. A lot of your standard control options. Only one copy of True Light, which is fine. See, we are playing the one copy with, what is it, the Master with Eyes of Blue. And, of course, cutting Blue Eyes down. I know that's going to be blasphemy. A lot of people are going to have a very hard time out here understanding that you don't want to play as many Blue Eyes as you used to. bricks are bricks, and you don't want to deal with those. You need your deck to be as optimal and as streamlined as you can possibly get. And I think this deck does a fantastic job at that. So that's your breakdown for next play this week. Holy crap, a lot of interesting things. So please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back later in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.